Hi, everyone, and welcome to MacRAE'S Growth Challenge podcast, Insight with B2B and manufacturing leaders, where we uncover their stories, strategies, and solutions to overcoming growth challenges in their industries. I'm your host, Maria, and in each episode, we will dive deep with founders, CEOs, and industry experts to explore how they scale, innovate, and lead in today's competitive landscape. So let's get started. Today we have Doug from D&M Electrical Contracting Inc. Nice to have you. How are you today?
I'm wonderful. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, Doug, why don't you introduce yourself, your role, and D&M?
So yes, I am the founder and president of D&M Electrical Contracting. We were founded in 1993, so we're just getting into our 34th year. We specialize, we are electrical and utility contractors, try to operate in niche markets. A lot of our work is geared towards the utility sectors. We do work in power plants, we do work in renewable energy facilities, battery storage technology. We also have background in transportation, whether that be railroad and also road type work, street lighting. So we're pretty diversified, but within niche markets. Our One of my things is if you do the same thing everyone else does, the only thing you can compete on is price. So we're not interested in doing the same thing as everyone else.
Yeah, you definitely sound a lot more diverse. I've had a few companies that I chatted about that are in a similar space, but it sounds like you are touching on so many different little niches.
Yeah.
Um, how did it all started? Which did you start in one niche and then over time grew into other ones?
We have always existed in niche markets. In 1993, when I went in business, we operated in two main niche markets. The first being we used to install, maintain, move, and relocate the illuminated bus shelters that people would wait in along the street that had advertising in them. So they would light up, and that was one of our first contracts, and we did that for quite a few years. And in doing that, we used to actually just put a ladder up on a telephone pole to run wiring up the telephone pole. Eventually, we bought a bucket truck, and we said, what else can we do with this? So we started to do parking lot lighting, and eventually parking lot lighting became street lighting, and that became another staple of our business. The second niche that we were into was explosion-proof wiring for gas stations, propane facilities, things of that nature. Not a lot of people doing that work, so we basically were able to name our price for those things. We did a lot of gas station work right up until 1999. In 1999, we were working for a company who came to us and said, the federal mandate is up, and next year there's not going to be any more gas station projects. I was shocked because I had no idea about this, and I was like, I don't know. What are you guys going to do? He said, oh, we're all set. We're going to start building cell phone towers. So we said, well, that sounds cool. We can do that. And we got started in the cell phone tower industry, and we were doing all the wiring for the actual site. And then we were subcontracting out the high voltage work to bring the pole line up the side of these mountains and underground work, transformers. And one of my foremen said, "Why are we giving away the lion's share of the work?" I said, I don't know. Do you know how to do this work?" He said, "Oh, the union's got classes. We'll go take classes." So I said, "I'll make you a deal. You go take the classes. You guys get certified. I'll buy the equipment." And they kept their end of the deal. We had 4 guys who went and got themselves certifications. And I went out and we bought the equipment, and we started doing our own work on those cell sites. Then around 2002, the cell phone market kind of dried up a bit. Everybody kind of built all the cell phone towers they really needed at that time. Sprint had just come into the market, and they were actually building out across the country, and it took them about 3 years to roll it out. And at that point, things kind of slowed, margins were getting lower, and we realized that the high voltage work we were doing was actually a really great market in itself, and we started to move into that market and did a lot of that work over the years. And we still do. That's one of our mainstays is the high voltage market. And then that just kind of propelled us into other corners of the sectors, doing substations, high voltage splicing, transmission line work, storm restoration work. When you see those convoys of trucks heading to Florida for a hurricane, Some of those are ours that, we've got into that market probably around 2007. And that's been a great market for us over the years. So that's been another niche that we've kind of always operated in. And we always like to find niches within niches. We talk to other competitors who look and go, wow, I didn't realize you do that too. So we try to offer a very defined set of services. And there, we still do some work. Our electricians do some work that would be considered traditional, normal electrical work. We have a large project going right now, a parking garage. We have another project, which is a wastewater treatment plant. We have two of those going right now. And, more of the industrial, heavy type work, which suits us very well.
Yeah, it also sounds like you are very problem solving oriented. So when you are presented with the opportunity, it's like, okay, well, how do I solve this problem? Like, it's very, okay, I see that this is an opportunity. Like, how can I just make it work? That's such a good mindset.
That's part of it, and part of it's I get bored easy. So, we'll master something, and it's like, we got to find something else different to do. And when I see something different, I'll be like, yes, that's what we got to get into. So, our latest niche is what they call the EPC market, which means engineer, procure, and construct. One of the biggest problems we see in the industry over the years is that the engineers designing jobs really don't know how to build them, don't really have the experience. So by bringing in engineers that we work well with, collaborating with them, and having the design process be a collaborative effort between us and the design professionals, we're able to build jobs cheaper, quicker, and be able to address the customer's concerns and problems before they actually occur. So instead of, traditional, design, bid, build kind of thing, we're solving problems before the problems start. And that's something I like to do. So, from that problem solving aspect, we like to be able to take things and, talk to the engineer, and the engineer will say, well, this is the way we're going to do it. And we say, well, why don't we try it this way? And oh, yeah, we could do that. That's a good idea. And then, you realize that that's going to save a couple $100,000 for the owner. So it's a win-win for everybody.
That's amazing. When it comes to really setting yourself apart from the competition, what do you think it is?
I think just by nature of what we do is we don't try to do the same thing everyone else does. I think very early in my career, even though I was established in niches, I felt like I had to be doing the other jobs that other people doing, school jobs and shopping centers. And what we realized was it was a race to the bottom. That every clown with a 6-foot ladder was going to bid on these jobs, and the guy who dropped his pants the lowest was getting the job. And it was like, why do we want to be in that market? Let's get out of that market. So we made a conscious effort to just say, we're not going to be all things to all people. We're going to do what we do, and we're going to be the best at it. And I think that's served us very well for the last 33 years.
Absolutely. How have you stayed very involved in the community and putting yourself out there on different aspects, not just work-wise?
Well, one thing that I'm very passionate about is the skilled trades and mentoring and advocating for that. I was on the board of directors of a skilled trades advocacy group called Bring Back the Trades, which I did a reverse sponsorship with. I race cars semi-professionally, and I offered them a reverse sponsorship. We put them on the car, and we did a lot with them, raised a lot of money, and raised a lot of awareness. And the series that I raced in, Trans Am, was very good to us. They gave us good TV coverage, so it was very good. And then we kind of were going in different directions, and I founded earlier this year a nonprofit called TradeMentor.org, which we're just launching. We've got some really great real industry leaders that are going to be working with us, and some great companies, trade associations, and basically what we're going to do is to provide information and resources to parents and kids that are interested in a skilled trades career, and to show them that, this is a good, viable career, and it's not a job. It's something that you can not only get a good job, but you can also advance. There's opportunity for advancement. I never intended to be an electrician. my pathway was that I wanted to be an electrical contractor. I knew I had to be an electrician first and then become a master electrician, and then I could become a businessman. But I always knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to own the company. And, I think it's important that kids know that there are a wide range of opportunities. They don't have to own the company, but they certainly should know that you don't have to stay a journeyman your life. You can get into supervision, you become foreman, a general foreman, a superintendent. A lot of those guys are then taken into the office. They become estimators, project managers, project executives. Some of these guys have become presidents and CEOs of companies with nothing more than just their experience in the field. It's a big myth that everyone who's a CEO has an MBA and has all kinds of degrees from everywhere. But the fact of the matter is that most of the people that I know and work with never went to college, and most of their experience has all been generated from day-to-day activity of working in the trades themselves, and the experience that brings.
I feel like both of those paths that you're telling me, both your professional and your philanthropy passion, those are two landscapes that are really changing. They
They are.
are, there's lots
They
of,
are.
they are, right?
Without a
There's
doubt.
just,
It is.
yeah.
It's
How,
slow, but
what
it's
type
a
of
great
change?
change.
Sorry?
It's a slow change, but it's coming and it's happening.
It's happening on whether the skills that are required or the opportunities or just like different ways. Why don't you share a little bit about, because you're so in the trenches, like
Mhm.
what kind of changes are you seeing upcoming in those landscapes?
Well, despite the push of educators to send every kid to college, people are taking a step back and saying, well, wait a second, do I really need to spend a couple of $100,000, get these student loans, and then get a degree? And maybe there's no jobs in that particular industry, because we don't really actually steer kids towards careers. We just steer them towards abstract ideas, oh, I have a degree in philosophy. Well, bad news, the philosophy store is not hiring much lately. So, you really have to start thinking about the kind of money you're going to spend on a career, right? If there's no jobs there. And I mean, I have a friend who said to me once, I said, oh, how'd your daughter? Oh, she's good. She's going to school, and told me the school, a very expensive college. And I said, well, what is she studying? He says, history. I said, well, is she going to be a teacher? I don't know. She doesn't know. I'm like, okay, well, why would you take history? I don't know. I was a history major. My cousin was a history major. And we don't do anything in that industry. And the fact of the matter is, about 20% of the people uh, actually work in the field of their degree. Now, when you extract out the people who are seeking an actual professional endeavor, like doctor, lawyer, nurse, engineer, accountant, that's a very small number of people that actually work in, the field of their degrees. But again, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know who's hiring in the field of social justice or gender studies. So, maybe that might offend some people, but the fact of the matter is, if you're going to college, you better know why, and you better have a real plan, because if you're supposed to be intelligent enough to go to college, you should be intelligent enough to know how you're going to pay back those loans and what you're going to do after you graduate. So I think we're seeing that shift where people are hitting the pause button and saying, hold on, let's look at non-degree pathways and find out how those non-degree pathways give me the opportunity to maybe have a career that I'm actually interested in. Because the fact of the matter is that our education system is based on nothing more than memorization for the sake of standardized testing. We spend most of the first couple of years in high school getting ready to take the SATs. And you memorize all this stuff, and you take classes that teach you how to take the SATs. You're not learning anything. I mean, the fact of the matter is you can't learn something if you're not interested in it. Okay? I can make you memorize tons of chemistry formulas, biology facts, but if that's not your interest, you're not going to remember that because you don't care about it. But I will challenge you and say that if we take a kid and maybe we put shop class back in school, and this kid now realizes that to figure out the angle of the roof on his birdhouse, he needs to know a little geometry. I bet you he's going to pay attention in geometry class because now he's got something relevant to apply that to, and now you just got him. And guess what? His geometry grades are going to go up, and so is his shop class grades, and he's going to be on a pathway because he knows that he wants to use his head and his hands to make a living.
I think every industry is really going through changes with job opportunities for
Yes.
people. I think that now what people need, what people consume, how people operate and live daily life, and how business, and that goes directly into businesses as well, is affecting the type of jobs that are going to be available. And I
Yeah.
think that a lot of things that are getting taught in traditional, I guess, school systems, they don't even know how to predict that because
Right.
those jobs don't even exist. This was the same problem for me being a millennial 15 years ago when I was entering the professional work field. I was studying things that I later on was not, you know, they didn't even know how to prepare me for those jobs. So within your industry specifically of your business,
Mhm.
what type of employment and job opportunities are you seeing that are going to be upcoming as technology is changing and consumer behavior is changing, what people are looking for?
Well, so everybody wants to talk about AI, right? So let's look at the impact of AI on the industries. So the first thing that happens to AI is that our knowledge-based workers who are, let's say, engineers, okay? Well, we're not going to replace engineers with AI, but we're going to make them more efficient so that AI will help them design things quicker, which means you're going to need less of them. So right there, you are actually shrinking that workforce. Now, conversely, let's go the other way. How does AI run? Well, huge data centers. Well, we've got to build those data centers. What do we need to build them? We need steel workers, we need electricians, HVAC, plumbers. We need all of those careers. If you listen to Jensen Huang, who is the president of NVIDIA, CEO and founder of NVIDIA, he said the next generation of millionaires is going to be electricians and plumbers and people that are building data centers. And I laugh at that and I go, what do you mean the next generation? I know more millionaires that are contractors than are, I don't know, software designers. I mean, let's face it. I mean, there's plenty of Elon Musk's out there, and there's plenty of Bill Gates out there. But the fact of the matter is, I can go into a room and point out at least 25 people that I know are millionaires, and they don't even have a college degree, and they're in the
Mhm.
trades. And then conversely, I don't know anybody. I actually knew one person who was a multimillionaire who owned a software company. So I could tell you one out of 20, maybe
Yeah.
maybe one out of 100, because I can keep pointing out millionaires in the trades. I can point them out all day long.
Yeah.
But so
So it's so true what you said. The database centers, the what happened in California, that was so unfortunate. But all of those data centers, like they were sucking up all the energy that you needed for people. That was terrible
well,
because
that's
they're
the next
not
thing.
efficiently built. Like they're not efficient with utilizing energy. They were just built and not really thought through.
Well, look, one part of the problem we're doing is that there's a big push for electrification. Everybody says, "Oh, we got to make all the cars electric, and we got to make all our cooking electric, and we got to make our heat electric." Well, that's great, but the fact of the matter is we don't have, number one, the generation sources, and even if we did, we don't have the transmission and distribution systems that were robust enough to move this power. So one of the things that are being done is they're building power plants closer to data centers so we don't have to move the energy. But that's only taking care of the data center. That's not helping charge your Tesla or heat your house when it's 20 below zero or help you cook your steak tonight in the broiler. So the fact of the matter is these crazy pushes, and I do believe they're crazy, to try to eliminate fossil fuel. I mean, here where I live in the state of New York, I'm building a house for my daughter, and I was just told that as of January 1, we cannot have fossil fuel, no gas, no oil. So the whole house has to be electric. And I just look at that and I feel like we've made such a huge mistake here. Does it benefit me? Sure. I mean, but the work is plentiful because of this. But, you know, making money doing something that's wrong isn't all that satisfying when at the end of the day you know that you're going down a bad road. So I think we need to have more awareness. I think if we're going to continue down this path, we need to develop nuclear. That's, I've been involved in the nuclear industry for over 25 years, and we're still working in nuclear power plants right now, which hysterical. They're dismantling the Indian Point nuclear power plant, which we've been working on taking apart. And meanwhile, there's discussion saying, "Oh, what would it take to put this back online?" So it's hysterical how we flounder from one bad decision to another. But
Yeah. It sounds
it's
like there's no actual like vision as to what would be the
there
correct
isn't
solution
there
with
isn't
regards to energy.
there's
It's
mandates without solutions to implement them.
yeah, that sounds scary.
It is. There's no
That
doubt
sounds
about it.
scary.
Well, listen, we again, all we have to do is wave the magic wand and say, you can use your gas, you can use your oil. It's okay. We're going to keep doing this for a while until we find a better way. And again, we've gone, we've made strides in fossil fuels and how we utilize them and how we reduce emissions and improve air quality. And I'm not saying that we shouldn't be cognizant of our environment. I think we should very well be. But by the same token, is I think we also have to be aware that we're being fooled into thinking things are a lot worse than they are.
Also, if we face collapse of infrastructures, it's not going to bring any type of good to us either.
Our infrastructure, as a nation, our infrastructure is old in a
Yeah.
lot of ways, whether it be bridges, power plants, you name it.
Yep.
There's a lot of infrastructure work that needs to be done. And who's going to build that? It's not going to be philosophers.
No,
So,
I don't think so. I don't think that's who's going to be building it.
no.
What do you foresee as, I guess, growth challenges, like either for yourself or other similar companies? Do you think it's going to be this like back and forth with how to use energy, or what do you think might else be an obstacle here?
Well, look, I think the key to survival in any industry is number one, identify a problem, and then B, find a solution for it. So, that's the key. I don't care what your industry is, right? I mean, you can come up with the greatest idea in the world. And every day I go to trade shows and I see things and I go, another solution for a problem that doesn't exist. I laughed one day because somebody was demonstrating a product to me, and it was basically a set of wheels that bolted onto a reel of wire. And I said, "You've reinvented the wheel. You literally added a set of wheels to a wheel. And now it doesn't fit through a doorway." So, everybody's just like, oh, we didn't thought of that. Okay. I mean, look, again, lots of solutions for problems that don't exist. People
What
who find real solutions to problems are the ones that make money.
what's one problem in your industry that you think is like really in need for a solution right now?
I
Would you
mean,
say
I
it's the
think
data
the
centers
biggest
or
the biggest problem in our industry is attrition. For every five workers retiring, there's two coming in. We are going to be in big trouble. The average age of a tradesman is getting up close to 50. And we're going to be in a lot of trouble because we've had a mass exodus of a lot of talent. So we need people to teach people, to mentor people, supervise people. And we're getting to a point where we're losing those people who said, "Listen, I've been doing this my whole life, and you know what? I'm ready to retire." And we do not have those bodies to backfill in. So that's the biggest problem we're facing right now.
how would you, if as we're wrapping up here, like one piece of advice for, I'm sure there's a lot of companies who are also worried about this, like the maturing of their experienced workforce, let's put it that way, and exiting.
hmm
Any piece of advice on how to combat that?
Well, one of the best ways you can do that is having a good apprenticeship program. As us, we're a union shop, so we participate in multi-employer apprenticeship programs, and through that, we have a constant flow of people coming in, going to school, and every year we have that flow coming in so that we try to mitigate the attrition. And in that, we're doing two things. Number one, we're training people but we're also taking them and giving them huge opportunities, because instead of going to college and spending money for an education, we're paying for their education. They're investing their time to go to school at night, and we're paying them during the day. So they're making money while they learn, and they have benefits. And meanwhile, at the end of 4 years, if you're done with an apprenticeship, you're making top pay. Whereas your friend that went to college now has $300,000 in student debt, no experience in anything, and is looking for an entry-level job.
At $40,000 a year.
Yes.
Trying to live in New York.
Yes.
Hilarious. Yeah. Awesome, Doug. This was really awesome. I really enjoy direct conversations, and this was one of them. And you're 100% right. The trades industry needs more people. Like, all these infrastructures, they are going to collapse unless we're going to maintain them. It's the same. Not everybody can be a real estate agent. Like, somebody has to build the houses. Somebody has to make sure that they withstand time.
Well, and I'm just going to add, the skilled trades are not just construction. We have automotive.
So much.
We have manufacturing is a huge sector.
Yes.
And we have service trades, right? People need to get their hair cut. They need to have somebody cook for them in a restaurant and bake for them in a bakery. These are all viable careers, and if it's something you're interested in and you're passionate about, passion breeds success. So, I encourage people that, don't buy into the traditional route where I go to college, get a degree, and then find some job and work for somebody for the rest of my life. Find what it is you're passionate about, and then find a career that meshes with that.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I am all on board. As a person who switched careers a couple of times, yes, I totally agree with that. Well, thank you so much, Doug.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right.